Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Quarantine Collections. My name is Travis Gilbert. I'm the Educator and Collections Coordinator here for the Old Baldy Foundation. And you may notice that we are in a change of settings here. We are upstairs in the Keeper's Cottage at my very messy desk. They say a messy desk is the handiwork of a busy mind, and I'm hoping that that is the case and that you'll excuse me. It's always books and papers everywhere in my little corner of the Old Baldy Foundation. But we are having such a special treat for you all today. On the phone, I have Dawn Taylor, who is the great-granddaughter of Devaney Jennette, who was an assistant lightkeeper at Cape Fear Light Station in the early 20th century. It's so fortunate that Dawn is such a great supporter of the Old Baldy Foundation. She's a great friend, and we're really looking forward to this interview. We have all kinds of pictures and documents that are going to be able to highlight Mr. Jennette's story and his time here at Bald Head Island. So, Dawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and privilege.
And I pulled up a picture. Here is Dawn with one of our bullseye prisms for the Cape Fear Light Station that Dawn found. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, where you found this bullseye prism, because that kind of highlights where you live, and maybe how'd you get involved with researching your ancestor?
Well, actually, I started researching my family about 20 years ago. A friend of mine had a computer, and I was at their house, and they let me start playing on it, and I found a genealogy website, and I was instantly hooked. From there, I went to researching my family, big on my maritime heritage. So many of my family were lighthouse keepers. And the photo you have up right there, it really, really means a lot. My dear friend John M. Havel of Wade, North Carolina, now new resident, who was from Raleigh, but he is a tremendous lighthouse researcher. He knows about every brick that's probably in that lighthouse. But he took this picture, and he didn't realize until he got home and put it on his computer. Look back to the other one. I'm going to show you everyone. The bottom of it has a reflection of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Now, my great-grandfather, who was keeper at Cape Fear from 1919 to 1932, he was born in Boston. And so, we have the Hatteras Lighthouse in the background. I'm holding the bullseye flash panel that actually John Havel acquired. I've actually found another one years prior here on Hatteras. A friend of mine had it. But he found that, and he let me become a babysitter for a while. And he wanted to get out there and take some photos and have a collection. So this photo is so dear to me, and it represents my family's heritage.
That's lovely, Dawn. I didn't realize that is not the panel that you had found. That's the panel that John and them found. It was a flea market, right, up in Raleigh.
Well, he was at church, and a lady came up to him and said, "You know those lighthouse panel things?" She goes, "I think I saw one at a thrift store." And he's like, "What?" And so he and Beth Hassan, I believe, they went there to where the lady had found it, and sure enough, and each panel actually has a number on it, and that's how you tell which lighthouse it went to. So they were definitely sure it went to Cape Fear. So when my grandfather actually died in a Cape Fear lighthouse, that image was most likely cast onto this part of the land.
All right. Well, let's dive into Mr. Devaney Jennette. I brought up a picture of him and his wife here. Tell us a little bit about his early years and kind of highlight his life before he arrived here on Bald Head Island at Cape Fear Light Station.
Okay, yeah, that's my dear great-grandfather, Devaney Pharaoh Jennette. I have the middle name Pharaoh. I'm his namesake. And my sweet great-grandmother, Ella Gray Jennette. he actually went into the lighthouse service in 1908, and his first appointment was at Thomas Point Shoals in Maryland. And he was there until April 9th of 1909. And then from there, he was appointed a second assistant keeper at Smith Point Light in Virginia. And from there, he was stationed at Pamlico Point Light. He resigned in 1911 for a little while, and he ended up fishing for a living. And then he requested to be reinstated. He came from a family of lighthouse keepers. So he went back into the family business. He was sent to Hunting Island Light down in South Carolina. And then in 1919 is when he became appointed to Cape Fear Light with Captain Charlie Swan, who became very dear to our family also. And then he stayed there at the Cape Fear Light until December 5th, 1932, when he passed away in the washroom.
It's my understanding that didn't he want to be appointed at Cape Hatteras Lighthouse? Wasn't there some kind of dilemma there?
Yeah, you have a letter that I sent. It should be, he was first cousins with Jennette v. Jennette. Jennette was the longest and last lighthouse keeper here at Cape Hatteras. And they were first cousins. Isaac was his father, Devaney, Jennette's father, and his brother, Benjamin, they were brothers, and so Jennette came out of Benjamin, and that was their relation, so he didn't get to come back home.
Well, hey, I can kind of follow along with that. So I got this really lovely letter. I'm gonna pull it up here, talking about his journey when he was stationed up in Maryland, and it really kind of describes the endeavors that Mr. Jennette had to overcome in order to just take a trip home to see his parents, right?
Yeah, his wife, his children were still on Cape Hatteras at this point. They hadn't moved to the keepers for their current-day Baldhead Island. And this is a letter that I really love to post after we have storms here on Hatteras, because it explains exactly the hardship one had to go through to travel home. And they weren't around families for long periods of time, and it was really hard on them. But yeah, it explains how he had to go by steamer to Norfolk, and he had to take a boat ride home, and how many hours it took to get there. Travis is doing a great job, everyone. But that is the letter. It's a two-part letter, and
so he had to take a boat, a railroad, a wagon or walk, and then back on a boat? Can you imagine?
Well, Hatteras Island is 30 miles offshore. So, he had to probably go to Manio and acquire a boat to Hatteras, to the village of Buxton.
Yeah, that's wild. Really wild. So I'm going to pull up this letter from Captain Charlie. I really enjoy this letter. It talks about some of his duties when he arrived here at Cape Fear Light Station in 1919. Now, I know this letter is towards the end of his career after his death, but this information would be just as valuable in 1919, correct?
Yes, yeah. Things weren't like they were today. They weren't electronic.
Couldn't send an email with your job description, right?
Yeah. So that is written by Captain Swan. I was blessed. I was able to meet his son Reese back in 2005. And Travis, you have a picture, a photograph of Reese and myself. Maybe everyone would love to take a look at. You can find it through all the things I sent.
Yeah, and they're pull it up. Let me see. That was your father. We got a picture here of Reese Swan. I'll pull up.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah, that's your... There we go. There's you and Reese. And that looks like it's at the ferry terminal here at Bald Island.
Yes, correct. Yeah, there's dear Reese. Yeah, Ron Hood, who's also related to Reese. I've had the pleasure of seeing him this past January, and I got to meet him the same visit when I met Reese in 2005, and we've stayed in touch. We're Facebook pals.
Absolutely. Gotta love Facebook for those reasons, right?
Yeah. You hear a lot of negatives, but there's the positives too.
Of course.
To learn more about your family's history and those you don't get to be around much.
So yeah, I just want to read this little passage, kind of go back to what, when he arrives in Cape Fear Light Station in 1919, Captain Charlie says, his daily duties were keeping the station in good condition by cleaning and painting, scraping rust and scrubbing paintwork, and many other things around the station. His night watches were from sunset to midnight one night, and from midnight to sunrise on the following night, with one night off watch every 3 nights. When all 3 keepers, that is a big what if all 3 keepers were at the station. When going on watch, he had to climb stairs for 150 feet before he came to the watch room. This was also the case when going up in the lighthouse to clean up during the daytime. And there would be 1 to 3 trips every day if visitors should come to see the light. And I love this letter, Don, because it really highlights, a lot of folks just think, okay, well, the lighthouse keeper would climb the lighthouse every night, turn on the light, and that was the end of the job. And then they just went and spent, the rest of the 23 hours of the day doing who knows. But this letter really highlights all these other duties, and then this idea that visiting lighthouses is not a new phenomenon. Clearly, there are tons of visitors arriving on Bald Head Island in the early 20th century that your great-grandfather and Captain Swan and the others had to kind of entertain because everybody wanted to climb the lighthouse.
Yeah, it's a romanticism of the lighthouse. They think of the lighthouse keeper at the top, out looking over the sea and the ships, and even also sometimes they had to go out and help rescue people who were in distress out there in the water. And, this letter just shines a little bit of light on what they went through on a daily basis.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull up, Dawn has a lovely series of photographs of the family. So here again is Devaney and his wife. But let me pull up, all right, let's walk through these photographs for us, Dawn, and tell us maybe who they are, and we'll move forward in the sequence to see how this all plays out. Let me just point out that is Cape Fear Light Station right there in the background.
Okay, that is my dear aunt, my dad's sister. That's Nora Ella Dickerson. She was Captain Devaney, Jennette's granddaughter. And there's the Cape Fear light behind it. This photo was taken out there behind the keeper's quarters. And that little wooden rocking chair, that actually belonged to the Swan children. And so that's her and her doll enjoying the outdoor sunny day. And then the story goes south. There should be a picture of my father standing beside her as a little boy. So bring up that one. And so my dad walks up to her, check out those little legs, and he's talking to her, but in his mind he's thinking something else, devious. So go on to the picture of my dad, the 3rd picture in this series.
You've got it. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay, but now we're looking at that photograph.
So there's Dad with my poor Aunt Noni's doll. He's taken off towards the beach with it, And no doubt Aunt Noni is sitting in the background in that little chair, crying her eyes out because her brother stole her doll.
Yeah, you can see the chair. I love that. You can see the rocking chair just in the corner of that photograph.
And you know, their whole lives, their love for each other was there, but Daddy and her were pranksters, and we have other family photos from when they were older, and they were full of themselves growing up. And I'm going to leave it at that.
So I have here's a next photograph. So again, Mr. Devaney Jennette was an assistant keeper at Cape Fear Light Station. Remind you that was in service from 1903 to 1958. Its foundations are at the modern-day Bald Head Island Conservancy out towards Turtle Central. So I have a picture there. And then here we have Devaney, and I think it's your dad and your aunt, correct?
Yes. There should be.
I love his uniform there, and his Class A uniform.
There we go. Yeah, they're right there beside. They lived in the middle keeper's quarters. My grandmother, Captain Devaney's daughter, Gladys Winifred Jennette, her and her children, and the whole family was down there. But so to the left is my Aunt Noni, and to the right is my father, and he's 90 years old now, and we live together on the island here on Hatters, in our old family home place.
That's lovely. Well, I'm going to keep going through these photographs, and there, I guess, is your father kind of playing in the sand there, and I love these because you can see what we believe is a detached kitchen that unfortunately is no longer out there at Captain Charlie's in the second keeper's cottage.
Yeah, when we were down there in January, and remember we were talking about those, it looked like some kind of bolts or something over top the windows on the exterior, and we wondered if that was part of the kitchen or the building structure. I'm not sure what it was, but so yeah, this is my father, and there's a family debate. Dad says it's his grandmother sitting on the porch in that hat, and other family members say no, that's your mom. And but so Dad says also that this is his first working gig, and they made him start working at a very young age.
That's funny. All right, gonna move forward here. I love these family photographs. They really show us. There is the storeroom that still exists out there at Cape Fear Light Station at Captain Charlie's. There were two storerooms. Unfortunately, one has been lost to history, but the other still remains. So you can kind of tell where this is. Up over that hill would be Cape Fear Light Station. Up over on the other side of that hill is where Bald Head Island Conservancy is today. So, Don, who's in this photograph for us?
That is my dear uncle, Devaney Elwood Jennette. My Aunt Noni, again a little older, and that is probably the kitchen that you were just speaking of, and the little wooden walkway. But he actually married Muriel Thompson from there in Southport. And she died fairly young of a heart issue, but her mother was Mary Dozier, and Mary was the sister to Dr. Dozier there in Southport.
Okay, so there's Dozier Memorial Hospital fame, right?
Correct, yeah. But he ended up in the Coast Guard up on Long Island, New York, him and his brother Carl Ross Jennette.
I have these pictures here. I'm not sure if we're seeing Carl but I know there's Devaney Jennette in his lighthouse uniform back there playing horseshoes. But this is one of the uncles, right? This is one of Devaney's sons.
Yeah, that is my Uncle Elwood again, and I like Great Granddaddy's pose there, playing those horseshoes.
Wasn't all work at Cape Fear Light Station. And there's Elwood and Carl, I believe, with your aunt and and Devaney Jennette there in the background again in his uniform.
Right, and another thing about Elwood, you have a baseball photo. If you can find that.
Sure thing. There we go.
Well, this one is Pop back here on the keeper's quarter steps. And to the left is Elwood again, my Aunt Naomi, and that's my Uncle Carl Ross to the right.
Okay.
This is a baseball team, early 1930s. And on the top row, it says Lefty Jennette. That is not Uncle Elwood. Go backwards.
You got it.
There you go. Yeah, the one that says Tame Dozier, that looks exactly like my Uncle Elwood. So we're not sure if it was mislabeled, but that, yeah. But he played ball, of course, and Ron Hood told me that was it the St. Louis, the Cardinals, they came to Southport looking for players, and they wanted my uncle, the great grandmother, didn't want her boy going off playing ball with all those grown men. So he ended up, another family tradition, joining the Coast Guard, and he spent his life doing that.
That's fascinating, huh? All right, so lovely photographs showing us life out here at Cape Fear Light Station. So let's talk about the unfortunate end. What happened? Kind of take us back to that December day. What happened that December day, that fateful day?
Yeah, it was December 5th, 1932. It was right after midnight. He had climbed to the club, and Captain Swan was in the watch room, and he literally opened the door and went in. They had started talking about chickens, and he fell over dead. Captain Swan caught him. Great-grandfather had heart issues, which is the Jennette family trait that even myself, I share it. And that on his death certificate, it lists him having an aneurysm. The AFib runs in our family, and when you have AFib, the heart momentarily can pause, stop, and the blood pools, which causes aneurysms. Now they give you blood thinner for it. Back in 1932, they didn't have the medications that they do today. So we're believing maybe that, from what we understand with great-grandmother's letters and how he'd been having trouble with chest pain and shortness of breath, that perhaps, he that's what he suffered from, and the aneurysm was a result of the heart issues itself. But the station, the Cape Fear station guys came over, and they went up top, and I forgot what it was exactly they used, but they had to lower great-granddaddy all the way down to the ground. And in my mind, just thinking about how Captain Swan must have felt, his dear friend and colleague, had fallen over dead on him, and they had to go contact great-grandmother, and she was at the keeper's quarters to tell her that her husband had just died in the lighthouse. And, she was standing there, no doubt, having to watch as they lowered his body down. His son, Hubert, was living in Southport at the time, and they went over and notified him. The two other boys were already in the Coast Guard up in New York. And so, the family went back to Cape Hatteras after his passing, and we're still here today. So it was a very, very horrific event for our family.
Absolutely, and I was, looking up. This is the Cape Fear logbook that's detailing, as Don was describing, how they had to enlist some help and lower the body down all 150 feet. And you're right, that's what always impresses me, Don. I mean, not only were these folks co-workers, but they were like extended family. They were friends. They were neighbors. It wasn't like today, you go clock into work, clock out at 5 o'clock, and you kind of, forget your coworkers. But, I mean, these folks, they were everything. They were the only other kind of, seriously, living beings on Bald Head Island for companionship, for friendship, for fellowship. So this would have been a horrific day for the entire community out at Cape Fear Light Station. Not only with the lighthouse employees, but the Coast Guard or the life-saving employees as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Reese Swan, when I saw him in 2005, he said that Captain Swan Captain Charlie actually retired not long after that.
Yeah, and Captain Charlie, I'm sorry, the phone's going off. That's what I always think. Captain Charlie, he would have, really saw his own mortality, I think, in that situation, unfortunately, and promptly called it quits. I mean, it was 4 some months after your great-grandfather passes away that Captain Charlie retires from the lighthouse service.
Yeah, for the family, it was a long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a lot for Captain Charlie to handle, and that is calls from Wyoming.
There we go. And there, I love this picture of you. This is from your last visit at Bald Head Island. I thought this is a great way to wrap up. This is your last visit to Bald Head Island, and you looking out the window in the keeper's cottage. And describe to us, to wrap up here, what it's like to stand where your great-grandfather stood so many years ago.
It's humbling. I have a photo I took when my father and I went down years ago. And he's standing at the same window, and I sort of wanted to recreate that. And knowing my great-grandfather and my family all looked out that same window out at the sea. It's like going into a church to me. You're in awe. You want to touch the windows. You want to touch the walls. You just feel like that is your connection to your heritage, is your connection to your past.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so, and I thought maybe we had a picture of, no, not a picture of, I thought maybe we had a picture of the grave, and then here's another picture of Don there outside the boathouse there on Sea Lavender Court. A great photograph. All right, well, Don, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your great-grandfather and his legacy here at Bald Head Island, and we're so fortunate to be able to tell a little bit about his story and continue his legacy here.
Well, thank you for having me, for letting me be able to share his story.
Absolutely, and we're hoping that things get back to normal here soon, and I can take a visit up to Hatteras to pay a visit to you, and you can come on back to Southport and pay a visit to us when all this clears up, Don.
Definitely. Well, thank you again.
Of course. All right.
Enjoy your day.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us for that very special edition of Quarantine Collections. My name is Travis Gilbert, again, educator and collections coordinator here at the Old Baldy Foundation. We're going to be bringing you an edition of Touring with Travis this afternoon. We're going to go out and explore the wreck of the Peterhoff, which was a Union blockading ship that crashed just offshore of East Beach here on Bald Head Island. And then tomorrow we'll have one last edition of Quarantine Collections at 10 o'clock. Another last edition for the week of Touring with Travis at 2, and then we will be on our weekend and bring you a full week of virtual programming next week as we all continue to social distance to stem this pandemic. So you all out there, stay healthy, stay positive and happy during these distressing times. Thank an essential employee. We thank our nurses, our doctors, our health workers, all our grocery store workers and trucks drivers. They're out on the front lines at this while we all stay home and do our part so we can all get life back to normal. All right? So we'll see you this afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us.